coming at you from Miss Levazy's room, just to like switch it up, take you to different parts of the school. Our little final project in between now and Christmas is you're going to essentially do a Bob Ross painting, but in Sketchbook. So there is a little video tutorial that the guy does, and I'll have that link in the assignment for you to follow along with. But there's a couple things as I was going through and planning it that I think will make it a lot easier. So the first thing that's kind of difficult about this tutorial video is he talks really fast and has a little bit of an accent, and it moves really fast. So sometimes it's kind of hard to see which brush he's using in Sketchbook. So I went through and screenshotted exactly which brush it is. So I can take a look at that to find those so you know exactly which title you're looking for if you're wanting to use the same one as what he's using, which, I mean, is like part of the project, so make sure you do that. So I'm going to now show you, there's a little video showing how to save the different types of brushes. So go ahead and watch that for me.
So over here on the left, you have the toolbar, and as you can see, those are different probably from what you're seeing right now. If you would like to save brushes to your toolbar, maybe you're using them a lot, you can click over here, you find the one that you want to use. Let's say I want to use this specific airbrush, press and hold on it until it moves around, and then you can click and drag it over onto there. If you're tired of it, you can either click and drag it off of the toolbar, but really you have to have the library open, so I actually just click and drag from basic down there and it's saved. Specifically for this project, the brushes on the left minus the eraser are what he uses, and I wanted to show you what all of those are so you can go back and see them. I will also have these as screenshots and labeled when they are used. The first is the inking pen, and it's silver. I believe you find this one in Legacy eventually. Pay attention to the size and opacity. This is the blending brush. Then there is the salty watercolor, the colorless web brush, chisel tip pen, tattoo inker, synthetic coarse angular brush, flow airbrush. And each of these guys are originally found in a different part of the library. So for right now, they all show up in basic, but some of these came from Legacy, some of them came from synthetic, some came from traditional. So you're gonna have to kind of click around to find them as you work through the video.
Then there's also a couple of things that I really need you to focus on as you are completing it. As you're watching his tutorial and doing it, you follow along. I go step by step and I pause the YouTube video and go and do that. First thing you're going to want to notice is kind of notice what size he's doing with the sliders, because if you want it to look the same as what he's doing, which we do, that's part of the goal, you need to make sure you're doing roughly the same size. Now, if it's like he's using 59 and yours is 56, that's totally fine. That's not a big deal. Make sure you're kind of looking at that. Or then there's a certain brush he uses where he messes with the roundness, and you want to take a look at that, and you can fiddle with that in settings, and there's basic and advanced, and so you can kind of click around in those to make sure those match. Okay, the other really big thing you have to pay attention to as you're working on this are those layers. Those layers are very important. He'll add new layers here and there. So like you make the sky, and then you add a new layer, and then you make the mountain and a little bit of grass underneath it, and then you add a new layer. You have to make sure you're using those layers correctly, or else when you draw certain things and you're trying to layer them to look like what he's doing, it's not going to work. Just the way the paint works to grab it, you have to have those individual layers for like the water and then the reflection of the trees. Those have to be two different layers. The other thing is, part of the video is creating the mountain reflection in the water, and to do that, your mountain layer has to be an independent, so it has to just be the mountain and that little bit of green bit. And so when he duplicates that, so you click on the side where all the layers are, it's on the right hand side of your iPad, you tap it, and there's a little thing that says duplicate, and you tap that, and if you tap that again, you can adjust the settings. So he adjusts like the lightness of it to kind of fade it a little bit, so that's a big step. And then the other thing that he does is he resizes it and he flips it. So he flips the mountain from going like this to going like this to make it look like a reflection. And to do that, do you remember, it's where I showed you at the top of the toolbar, there's the 4 direction arrows. You tap that button, and then it gives you a couple of different options, and that's where you can flip this stuff to make it look, different. So it can go from looking like this to looking like this, or it can go from looking like this to being like, oh, a reflection down at the bottom. So make sure you are paying attention to those things. Take your time and have a lot of fun with it.